Sid Eudy names 5 wrestlers he totally hates. And these aren't just any wrestlers. We're talking huge names you'd never expect him to have beef with. Let's dive in and find out what really went down. 1. Hulk Hogan. Sid Eudy's rivalry with Hulk Hogan was one of the big moments of his early WWF career. Back in 1992, Sid was building himself as a dominant, intimidating presence in the ring. And Hogan, of course, was the face of the company, larger than life, loved by fans everywhere. Their feud really took off because of that classic clash of personalities. Sid was this brooding, no-nonsense powerhouse, while Hogan was the ultimate hero, always ready to fight for the fans. The tension between them was not just about wrestling, it was about pride and dominance. Sid had this menacing aura, and fans could not take their eyes off him whenever he appeared. Hogan, on the other hand, had decades of reputation backing him up. The storyline played on that, painting Sid as the unstoppable threat who could finally topple the all-time hero. Fans were on the edge of their seats, wondering if Hogan could survive this new, darker force in the WWF. It all led to the main event of WrestleMania 8 in 1992, which was a huge deal at the time. Sid versus Hogan was the ultimate test. Two giants, two powerhouses, going head-to-head on wrestling's biggest stage. Their matches were not just about athletic skill. They were about storytelling in the ring. Every slam, every move, every stare-down told the story of this epic feud. Sid's raw aggression and intimidating presence made Hogan work harder than ever, and the audience got a real sense of danger and drama. Outside the storyline, there was also a sense of genuine respect mixed with tension. Sid's style was very different from Hogan's. He was intense, more unpredictable, and he did not always play by the traditional hero versus villain rules that Hogan thrived on. That made their feud feel bigger and more real. Fans remember it not just for the matches themselves, but for the electricity in the air every time these two crossed paths. By the time the feud wrapped up, Sid had cemented himself as a major player in the WWF, and Hogan had once again proven why he was the top guy. Their rivalry remains a classic example of how two very different personalities can create unforgettable moments in wrestling history. 2. Sting-Sid. Eudy's rivalry with Sting in WCW was one of the most intense periods of his career. Back in 1990, WCW was building big storylines, and Sid was positioned as this unstoppable force, a giant of the ring who could challenge anyone. Sting, on the other hand, was the fan favorite, the hero everyone wanted to see succeed. Their feud became personal, fueled by pride, dominance, and a need to prove who really belonged at the top. One of the most memorable moments of this rivalry came at Halloween Havoc 1990. WCW ran a storyline involving a fake Sting, a look-alike created to confuse and frustrate the real Sting. This added an extra layer of tension to the feud. Sid was involved in matches where the lines between reality and storyline blurred, creating drama that kept fans on edge. Every appearance of Sid in the arena felt dangerous because he had the size, the intensity, and the unpredictability to make things feel real. Their matches were not just about who could pin who. They were about storytelling in the ring. Sid's sheer power and intimidation made Sting fight harder and think smarter. The feud showcased Sid's ability to play both a physical and psychological game. Sting, with his charisma and connection to the fans, made every confrontation feel high stakes. Fans could feel the tension, wondering if Sid could finally take down the beloved Sting, or if Sting would find a way to triumph. Outside the storyline, Sid's intense style contrasted sharply with Sting's more calculated approach. This difference made the rivalry feel authentic and heightened the drama in every encounter. Their matches and confrontations are still remembered by fans as examples of storytelling and performance at its peak in WCW. By the time the feud settled, both wrestlers had strengthened their reputations. Sid had shown he could compete at the highest level, while Sting had solidified his status as a resilient and cunning hero. The feud remains a classic example of how two very different personalities can clash in ways that feel both personal and epic. 3. Fascism Sid Eudy's. Rivalry with Shawn Michaels in the WWF was full of drama and tension. By 1996, Sid had established himself as a powerful, intimidating presence, and Michaels was at the top of his game as a fast, flashy, and incredibly talented wrestler. The storyline that brought them into conflict revolved around betrayal and ambition. Sid turned on Michaels, shocking fans and creating a personal feud that went beyond just competition in the ring. This rivalry built slowly, with each confrontation adding more intensity. Sid's strength and size made him a serious threat to Michaels, who relied on speed, agility, and clever ring psychology. The contrast between the two wrestlers made every match feel unpredictable. Fans were drawn in, wondering if Michaels could overcome Sid's raw power, or if Sid would finally claim the ultimate prize. The feud reached its peak at Survivor Series 1996. In a match that was heavily promoted and highly anticipated, Sid faced Michaels for the WWF Championship. Every move, every counter, and every near fall told the story of this intense rivalry. Sid's aggression and dominance in the ring were on full display, while Michaels' resilience and fighting spirit kept the audience invested. The tension was palpable, as fans watched two very different wrestlers go head-to-head for the top title in the company. This feud was about more than just winning a championship. It was about pride, betrayal, and proving who deserved to be at the top. Sid's style of wrestling, with his intimidating presence and powerful moves, made the matches feel dangerous and high stakes. Michaels' ability to fight back and adapt added a layer of drama that made their encounters memorable. 4. Arn Anderson. Unlike most feuds, this one had a very real and dangerous edge, because it started backstage rather than in the storyline. In 1993, during a WCW tour in England, Sid and Arn got into a violent altercation that escalated to the point where both men were stabbed. This was not scripted drama. It was a real-life fight that left everyone in shock. The incident made their rivalry legendary because it blurred the lines between reality and performance. Fans were aware that Sid was a serious, intimidating figure, but this event gave him an even more menacing reputation. Arn Anderson was no pushover either. Known for his toughness and technical skills, Arn could hold his own with anyone in the ring, but the backstage confrontations showed just how dangerous conflicts could get when tempers flared outside the spotlight. After the incident, the tension between Sid and Arn carried over into their professional interactions. Even when they were not actively feuding in storylines, there was an air of unpredictability whenever they were around each other. Wrestlers and fans alike treated their encounters with a mixture of respect and caution, because everyone knew what Sid was capable of when pushed too far. This rivalry, while not always part of televised storylines, became a defining moment of Sid's reputation in WCW. It highlighted his real-life intensity and how seriously he took his presence, both in and out of the ring. It also reinforced Arn Anderson's image as a tough, no-nonsense competitor who could stand up to even the most dangerous opponents. The Sid and Arn incident remains one of wrestling's most notorious backstage stories. It is remembered not for championship belts or scripted victories, but for the raw, real-life intensity that both men brought to their careers. This feud, rooted in a true conflict, left a mark on everyone involved and added a darker, more serious layer to Sid's legacy as a wrestler who was feared both in the ring and behind the scenes. 5. Debilitating Sid. Eudy's rivalry with The Undertaker in the WWF was a clash of two imposing forces at the very top of the company. By 1997, Sid was a dominant champion, feared for his size, strength, and aggression. The Undertaker was already an established icon, known for his dark, intimidating persona and his ability to make every match feel like a high-stakes battle. Their feud was built around power, dominance, and the question of who truly belonged at the top of the WWF. The storyline reached its peak at WrestleMania 13, where Sid defended the WWF Championship against The Undertaker in the main event. The match was more than just a contest for a title. It was a battle of reputations and personalities. Sid's raw aggression and sheer force made him a formidable opponent, while The Undertaker's calm, relentless style and experience added an eerie intensity to every moment in the ring. Fans were on the edge of their seats throughout the match. Every slam, strike, and submission attempt told a story of struggle, and survival. Sid's powerful presence made it feel like he could dominate anyone. Yet the Undertaker's methodical, almost supernatural approach created a sense of inevitability, as if the darkness he represented could not be stopped. The contrast between Sid's brute force and the Undertaker's psychological edge made the feud captivating and memorable. In the end, Sid lost the WWF Championship to The Undertaker, marking a significant turning point in his career. The match highlighted both wrestlers' strengths and left a lasting impression on fans. It showed that while Sid could dominate through power and intimidation, The Undertaker's experience, composure, and presence were enough to overcome even the most dangerous challengers. Their feud remains one of the standout rivalries of the 1990s, remembered not just for the championship stakes, but for the way two very different wrestlers created a dramatic, unforgettable story in the ring. It cemented Sid's legacy as a top-tier performer, capable of holding his own against legends, and reinforced The Undertaker's status as one of wrestling's most formidable and enduring icons. And that wraps up today's video. Make sure to hit like and subscribe so you never miss our next update.